Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Dream Career Talkshow. As you all are aware, on this particular show, we bring industry experts from various domains who can share their knowledge, their experiences, their failures, and success so that it can inspire others. And they can help us get clarity, direction, and the right steps to build your dream career. We all know that we go through a lot of emotions in our lives. We express our emotions in different ways. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, sometimes we scream, sometimes we dance. There are different ways in which we express our emotions. Stories are one of the strong ways of not only expressing emotions but also inspiring people. A good story not only has emotions but a lot of well chosen words to express. So, how can we roar through words, stories, and emotions? Our today's guest on Dream Career Talk Show has been using stories to coach, mentor, and transform people's lives. Meera is a growthpreneur, pre-incubated NSR CEL IIMB for online community venture called Mayaakatha, and she is a master NLP ICF certified positive psychology coach. She is also an author, writer, and compiler. She has published her first book, Mayakatha, an illusion holding reality within, and has co-authored 12 anthologies, compiled 7 anthologies. Currently, she is working on Shakuni, a mystic and excellence. She is the founder of Storytelling and Writing Online Communities Hub on Facebook with 3,500 to 4,000 members. Meera, I've seen your work on social media. I think you are doing amazing there. So, welcome to Dream Career Talk Show. I'm super happy to have you here.
Namaste. Thank you so much, Pada. It was very nice to listen to what you shared. I mean, we all have that little child within us, right? When somebody appreciates or somebody talks about us, and you feel like you're on the stage, and in the school, you get acknowledged for your work, and everybody claps for it, and you get a chocolate or something. So it was. I literally felt that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this lovely welcome.
Thank you for being here. And yes, we all go through emotions. We all go through the way of expressing things, right? And you have been doing some wonderful job out there in helping people to pen them down and also use that in a positive way, right? So before we talk about how you are doing it today, can we understand about how did you get started with this? And before this, like what were you into, and how did you identify this path?
Okay, definitely, I would share that. So I completed my graduation from St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science in Bangalore. Yes, I'm a Namma Bengaluru Hurgi, like many people would like to say so. So I did my schooling, college, yeah, literally the education bit in Bangalore. And through campus, I worked with a company called Datamatics, which is into staffings and services. That's where I picked up something which was totally out of syllabus. Like I did BSc in microbiology, and then I joined in the recruitment team. Uh, it wasn't just go to the job portal, pick up a profile, talk to them, but that's where I really learned about the human connection, or to understand the nuances of what and all gets into recruit, because I come from that era of recruiters who used to share one computer, like two recruiters used to share one computer. So beginning morning, so we used to keep like an hour for each other. Even 1 hour was more than that, 45 minutes. By then, whatever was the recruitment requirement, we used to download details, understanding about it. That time, Google was the one-star destination for us to know what it is, and then and then download all the contact details. And that time, Fatah, it was just headhunting. I used to get caught by HRs or the senior guys of corporate organizations, and who used to call up to my manager and say, "This person is calling on different numbers to get our employee data." So I come from that era of recruiters where we didn't have contact numbers of the candidate. So I used to call up home, talk to them. So that was something I felt, I didn't realize it for quite some time. So recruitment journey I really enjoyed, and I didn't think about doing my masters in microbiology after that. I joined with
Mhm.
an intention to earn money for 1 year, take that money, put that into my masters. But something I felt this is the place I want to be there. I continued being there, and then Moved from Bangalore to Chennai, again in the same organization, worked with HCL Technologies for a brief time between Chennai and Noida. And then again, I worked with Geomatics, then I went to Flipkart. I'm quoting these names. The reason being, these are the places where it was an eye opener for me. Recruitment was just not, because I literally, like, without contact numbers to getting contact numbers just like this. So it gave me an experience, because Fatah, if I had to reach out to you 15 years se pehle, I don't know if I would even get that mobile number of you. Remember, we used to have that pager. Even
Right.
for the incoming, it used to be a what to say. People had to
Charge
pay
for that.
charge.
Right. Yeah.
So I used to get caught. Don't messages because we are paying money for what you're sending. And then doing those cold calls, getting CEO's number, CFO's number, it gave a kind of a happiness for that, because today everything is at a one, in digital way you get the numbers. So I really feel so happy. I'm that recruiter who never used to get those phone numbers in first place. It used to take literally 2 months, and then closing those, mid-level to senior level positions, like a C-level positions or senior managerial AVP level position today. And today AVP is a different thing. People just become, they say, but that time it was entirely different. So why I'm going to that time as well? I'm not someone who come from a what to say, a long time ago, but it evolved. So after I motherhood happened, I thought that will be easy. Looking at my folks at home, parent-in-laws, and a big battalion of family we had at home, in-laws, their siblings, their cousins, their children, that this. At a given point in time, we used to have like 15 to 20 people. So we used to cook together, eat together, fight together, work together. Again, start this work from the scratch. Once motherhood happened, the Minion Connect, my daughter Connect was, it was entirely different. So she used to look at me like, okay, she comes in the moonlight and she leaves at the dawn. So I felt, it's a balancing is a different thing to say altogether. But I felt, okay, let me not miss few things, which I can definitely. So there was one time when I was waiting for one senior gentleman. I was supposed to have a compensation discussion with him. I mean, it really took a long time to get that candidate and then, convince. It's not an easy thing, right? And
Right.
typically at a C level kind of a thing. And then we waiting for him, and he got luckily stuck in traffic, and that gave me a good amount of space to grab a hold of the conference room, because conference rooms, you calendar book it, and if you miss it, you miss it. So I was like, no, I'll not live this conference room. I'm hooked to this. I'm married to this conference room, and I stayed there. And I was just thinking, what am I doing? And so I just took a paper and I started writing about, like 2004, I completed my graduation. I started working. Okay, where am I career wise? I wanted to update my profile to apply in another company. I had two
Mhm.
offers also in my hand. Good offer. Okay, so it will be almost like, getting the 6 to 7 per month, 6 to 7 figure kind of a thing, and all per month. And I kind of left it when it was actually happening. So I went to thinking about, okay, am I doing what I really want to do? So when I started writing down, I started writing about my experience. I used to post on LinkedIn, and like somebody appreciates you, feel so happy, and then you go about writing on and on and on. Lots of stories were happening. So I just called up my husband, Bharat, and I told him I'm quitting. And his question was like, "Are you sure you really want to quit?" He said, no, I don't mean to say with regards to the finance or with regards to money, with which I can definitely run the show, because you're so towards career and you're so passionate about recruitment or that particular space. And I said, no, I'm just quitting. Let me do recruitment at home. So believe me, working with 500 to 600 employees, I think I had some bit of a syllabus in place. But with
Mhm.
1 million at home, it is totally out of syllabus. But still, a story started happening. And the very next day, after quitting 2017, December 16th, I was like, what to do? Again, I went to LinkedIn, I started writing, people started resonating. And that's how, I started writing. People, a tribe happened. So many people reached out to me, like since I come in from the NLP background, people reached out to me asking, can you help me out with this? So I love doing that. And I used to get paid for that also, right? So
Right.
I went about doing coaching and things. And many people started reaching with this question, I don't want to do this. Why should I do this? Then I was like, okay, from why? if you can just pause and see what is the problem that you're facing, what is the problem that you think you can actually look into, you can solve, or do you need some external hand, like someone, a mentor or
Right.
a coach. So if you feel you need a mentor, let's get you to the mentor. Or if you think you can work with your own self, you can do that as a first step. Then, from cribbing, people started sharing, and that's how the tribe happened. So I was part of a couple of writing and writing communities per se. And then okay, all having roaring words. I said, okay, I think there is a dinosaur within each of us. Let's roar it. Let's roar it with a purpose. If we don't know what's a purpose, and many of us even now we don't know what is a purpose, we go about creating it basis our experience, basis our happy question, or if we did something and we feel good about it, we create that as a purpose. Once that goes in the positive and takes off, then we create a vision, then a mission.
Right.
So I think we all would have done that in the corporate also.
Right.
So and then I thought, okay, people come, people talk to me, and I could connect despite all the challenges at home, despite so many things. If I can still connect with people, might be words are the power. That's when I realized it's about transforming the words and emotions into stories that could create that emotional and mental well-being. Arey Baba, after emotional and mental well-being, how do I go and monetize in what I want to do? You have to, right?
Right.
So then you to create that emotional and mental well-being, and then create your brand or a venture, or go revisit, go back the timeline. Thanks to social media, which keeps pushing us back to the timeline and say, "Hey, this is what happened 1 year back. This is what happened 10
Right.
years back. Look at your photos. How you look." So, apart from naturally black to now coloring it, so many things we have traveled through in the form of a story. Then, okay, come, let's create stories. So that's how Mayakatha by story styles happen. So both the communities are into one is writing and into story training, mentoring, coaching, brand talks. Like I've been invited to Dream Career Talk Show. I get an opportunity to invite a couple of folks on Mayakatha or on Let's Make Stories. So this journey actually kind of I was not monetizing initially, like, to be very honest. A couple of times for the when you actually brought about the emotional things, so people used to say, "Mira, I want to interview." I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm doing what I love doing, but today my account is zero. But still, I'm sitting over here in front of the camera, facing as if like I have made so much. But there was something, like I think that purpose actually gives us a push. So it
Right.
went on, and then through the community, I would say thanks to the community, Mayakatha by Story Stands and Let's Make Stories. I know all the writers and storytellers and all of them, but for them, Fatah, I wouldn't be here talking to you because being independent is easy to say and write. But to be one, we definitely need resources, support, guidance, mentoring, and to people to listen to also. So I wouldn't have definitely come this far but for the people in Mayakatha and Let's Make Stories, Dino, and all the brand people who helped me out. So then we went about publishing books along with a writer, and then we conduct storytelling events in collaboration with, I do it with the corporates. Couple of them, they offer their services, they come and share about. So typically it's become a marketplace, bringing writers, storytellers, trainers, mentors, coach, aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, homepreneurs, all the preneurs, to create a marketplace of opportunities. With this thing to say, connect, collaborate, learn, and then grow. So yeah.
Super, super. Connect, collaborate, learn, and grow. I think that's a great way. And communities, of course, is today's, I think, the growth path. Like everybody is understanding the value of a community and building communities. I think even the biggest platforms today are more of based on the communities. So one is the communities. You started building communities, which happened like accidental, or were you like consciously building that community from the beginning?
It
And
happened.
how did?
Accidental entrepreneurs bolte hai na? Like when I used to meet people like in a gathering or outside, they say, "What did you? What were you doing?" I said, "Yeah, I was working, and now I'm on my own. I'm just doing stories." "Oh, you're an entrepreneur." I'm like, "Oh, is it? Okay, fine." I mean,
Okay.
very upfront and straight over here because some people choose to become an entrepreneur. Some people
Right.
are pushed to become one. A couple of them, they have a family business and might be, to pass that as a legacy, as a protecting element of the products and the services. The entrepreneurship is like a crown or forced to wear that crown, it's given to. So there are people who become entrepreneurs, people who are forced entrepreneurs, accidental entrepreneurs, like someone like me. Like I realize, okay, but might be, like when I told you, like that day, the gentleman, it took time for him to come, it helped me to pen down. So that penning down actually gave me a clarity about there is a story in each of us. Like you keep visiting the timeline, because it's like, there are so many things that we would have aspired to do for them, but we didn't do, or we didn't create that strength, or create, take the bring that courage and talk to our parents or people whom we can talk to. Because I remember as a child, for example, 8 or 10, many of my friends I've seen, like just taking a minute of yours over here. A friend, I think her father parents were artists, like paint, sketches, and all. Her brother, he also used to paint, and she drew, but she was always scared. And she went on to become an IT, very well settled. And all of a sudden, after so many years, when I met, she was like, "I'm into sketching and things like that." I said, "How did you pick it up?" She said, "I always wanted to mirror at the age of 8 to 10. When I go to parents, they're like, तू क्या बनाएगी भैया को देख."
Hmm,
Yeah,
hmm,
and friends, neighbors also, "Hey, your parents are such a thing. Are you not even drawing even a cat?" You know,
hmm, hmm.
but when she actually paused during that mid-career crisis, or what do you call it as, she brought that element back into reality. That's what I say. We have parked so many things in our childhood. It's about walking back the timeline. One is walking back the timeline, childhood to the childhood. It solves several issues. Second, it will help us know what we wanted to do, where we lost it, what happened to us, why are we behaving with this emotion of sometimes anger, why that story of anger and frustration. Many CEOs or many C-level people, Fatah, like they have a flourishing business. They're doing extremely well with regards to the financial, what you call it as a financial abundance, law of attraction, everything is happening good. But they sulk when they are under the roof. The house is not a home for them. Then many of them, while coaching, I realized, walking back the timeline, they have parked so many aspirations or so many fear elements in the childhood, which is rusting over there. If we could just revisit, even I did that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, I go out of my way to help, and sometimes I'm like, there is some kind of an element which stops me. And I started realizing that we all have a story within us. It's just about walking back and bringing it to reality. That's Maya is not illusion. Maya is what we think as illusion has a potential over there to realize there are few things that we can bring into reality. Let's bring it to reality.
Absolutely. I think what you talk about Maya here, and I think it's the same lines we talk in Dream Career. It's like, yes, people would have lost somewhere in that journey, but
Yeah.
understanding what were your dreams, right? From childhood, what were you dreaming of? And then building your dream career, showing that courage to come out of whatever you are stuck right now. Like, as you
Yeah.
rightly gave some examples there. But I think I was also seen a person who was CIO plus CTO, and he said, "I'm going to give away my CIO role," which was again bringing him a lot of money. And he said, "I'm going to start something from the scratch. It's okay for me." Right.
Yeah.
So taking that courage, not everyone does it, but of
Yeah.
course, like I'm sure, like, but everyone has a dream, right? For
Yeah.
sure.
True,
It's
true, true,
I don't
true.
think so. Anybody in this world would not have a dream, right? So everyone has a
Everyone
dream.
has. Everyone has.
Right. And everyone has a story, as you rightly mentioned, right?
Yeah.
But being able to find that path of living that dream and going ahead and walking that path is important. And
Yeah.
when you started this, right, for you also, it became like accidental. You took a break, right? Somebody from coming from microbiology, going into recruitment,
Yeah.
suddenly stories happened. Like, how did stories happen? Like, were you always fascinated about stories? Were you writing stories during your corporate world? Or how did this happen with you?
Okay, I wrote a lot of letters to my candidates.
Interesting.
Dear so and so, we have an opportunity with so and so company. I would like to talk to you about this. Can we have an exploratory call? So these were the letters that I wrote during my corporate. I used to fret And I also had the confidence to lose 10 to 15 marks during my school days when it was letter writing, because
Hmm.
that is something I always ran away from. I don't know why. Something, mentally, or might be somebody would have to क्या letter लिखने वाली है. The minute, I mean, I'm just
Yeah, yeah, right.
there could be the possibility or the comparison in the school or something. I've always used to prepare my mind, Fatah, where during my English exams or in Hindi ka bhi, when it used to be letter likho, ye likho. Matlab, I was like, okay, is here I am going to leave 10 marks. I used to go with that mindset. So I think I should take that excellence back, that go with the mindset, but for what I need to know. So um, writing, like as a child, I used to scribble, but literally I don't think if I had this thing. Okay, now I remember, like as a in fifth or sixth standard, I remember we used to get the Times of India newspaper in our school as a part of an NIE program. So the
Hmm.
concept was the children buy this newspaper, read every day, and build the fluency in English or the communication. I mean, we were all in school. Communication means we were forced only English. To be very honest,
Right,
like
right,
if you speak in mother tongue, it was like no, English में बोलो या हिंदी में बोलो या whatever language the school followed.
right.
It's not about the language, but I felt, actually that gave me that time. Okay, I started reading Times of India paper. I loved listening to my own voice. So I used to read, but never made that attempt to go on the stage and do the news reading or any of those things. But I was a typical last bencher who enjoyed being in the last bench all the time. Due to my height, I was pulled to the first row of the bench, but I always made my way out to the last bench. So last bench, we had a lot of fun. We used to write about, that child, this person, write and pass the chit. So all those things I started gathering one day. And in college, Hindi, I grew up reading Hindi a lot, coming from Kendra Vidyalaya and defense ka background. So Hindi is something I used to write. I used to write Zindagi Karke. I wrote a poem also in Hindi, and that got
Great.
published in my college magazine. And that was always there. Wow, my thing got published. फिर उसके बाद I used to write in Hindi, even when I'm a Tamilian. So when somebody used to say something, like a song or shlok or something, I used to write in Hindi. And even if it was a Tamil language, I used to write in Tamil also. I used to write in Hindi. So writing, actually, I loved writing. And then corporate, I had no other choice. Letter writing, which I ran, I really had to love letter writing. But I started enjoying, like because during my growing up time, we were told learn typewriting, but
Right.
I didn't go for that. So, to love letter making, what irritated me was I used to use only my index finger and look for talk, talk, talk on the keypad. So one of my friend, she told me, Meer, how long you're gonna do this talk, talk? So I started learning typewriting with her, the basics of all these things. And today I feel good about, I can write at decent speed. So when that speed came, on LinkedIn, I started writing articles. People were like, Meera, this is nice. This is about that person. This is about this thing that happened. I'm like, yes. So went about writing, and then I feel, yeah, there is a story in whatever we do. Let's go about writing stories. And then one of my friend on Facebook, friend's friend, she had tagged me when she was completing a marathon on 100 days happiness, 100 days writing or 100 days something. She
Hmm.
tagged me and can you take this up? I'm like, okay, cat on a wall. I said, okay, let me do that. And then 4 to 5 days, I was like, what do I just put one photo. Used to get a lot of forwards and all. Put that photo, and she said, "This is not done. If you have to be there in this challenge, you have to write." I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll write." I went about writing, and 10th day, when I was about to write about my 100 days happiness learning, my father was on the deathbed, and it
Okay.
was just it was I and him in the hospital room, and he was already counting his seconds, not even minutes or. So I was just telling him, like, Appa, I'm just writing, and I don't know why I wrote. I told him I'm writing a book. I told him, and there was a pause because he had a struggle in talking. It was all just through expression, but still he told me. bring it to reality. And I literally didn't cry for 10 to 11 days. But I was working, and when I had to check my mails, because with regards to the HR and recruitment related stuff, we have to, there'll be so many transactions waiting. I was like, okay, I can't anymore ask my team and people to take this. Let me just, I opened the laptop. Instead of going to my mails, I opened a Word doc and I went about just typing, and literally brought the tears rolling down. And actually, that's when I realized, okay, there there is a story in what there's a hidden story is what I realized. And then I went about blogging again, despite my father's law. And like day 11, I started. Day 12, then day 100, people started writing, Meera, this is nice. I could relate to what you have written. So, because every day is not happiness, it's about how we can create that little bit of a happiness through work, through challenges, or through the head-on collisions, or falling flat on the floor. Everything. I kind of started writing it as an experience, and when people said we wish to see this in a book, and that's my first book, Mayaakatha, an illustration bringing, that reality happened. And Maya is a very close name to me. I think this name was there right from my college time. Once Maya happened, my daughter's name is Maya too. Once Maya
Wow.
happened in 2015, several stories happened. You're not a child, oh yeah, you tell I will eat, you tell I will sleep. No. So every child, they have their own way when it comes to eating. So I used to, dance, jump on the bed, because sleep time definitely needed a story. And that story, she was like, same story every day, 5 to 6 times.
Wow.
And the modulation should not change at all. If I'm roaring, it has to be roaring. It cannot be roaring. She used to say roaring, not roaring. All these things. So then okay. Then I mean, like with so many children, I go to the park and I used to tell them stories. And then I was like, my coach. I wish to quote his name over here, Mr. Ramesh Prasad. From whom do I say learned, or someone who put that NLP in my DNA? I owe a lot to him. He said, "Story mat bolo." Then I had a fight with him. Why shouldn't I tell the story? Why are you asking me to stop telling? It was a tsunami. Like I fought with him, and he said, "I've never seen you fighting like this. You have to fight more. Bring all the stories." He said. I said, "Okay, let me not stop. Let me keep writing. Let me create from a story um, an outcome." A story, let it not be just you hear, you feel for 15 to 20 minutes mental peace, and then again you go back to the rush hour. No. Every story, you either create it or at least take it from someone. Go about giving a win. It's not philosophical way, take that and khush ho ja. No, take that story, create that into an outcome, because that outcome, people will feel good when they start monetizing on it. That's what I always say, It is just not about feeling good that you heard a story, you told a story. Take that into a module, create a life to it.
Right. Yeah. Amazing. Very inspiring journey, right? We can definitely see a lot of stories coming from your life, and it's a very inspirational one as well. So thank you for sharing that with us, right? And at one point of time, you also shared about you losing your dad, right? Sorry for that thing. But when you started writing, right, even after that incident happened with you,
Yeah,
right, did writing down those emotions helped you? Because uh, today we see a lot of challenges, right, especially in the corporate world. People have so many emotions to bring them
yeah,
out, and during COVID also we saw a lot of people losing either their job or their dear ones. So how
yeah.
can stories help them? How can writing help them in terms of bringing these emotions, or moving from that emotions which are like maybe negative most of the times, to
Sure.
converting them into positive ones?
Yeah. Uh, I true that, and thanks for pointing it out, because once we get into that adulthood of finishing the college and getting into a corporate, the first thing that what we do is we drop the pen. Not all, but most of them. We drop the pen because no more I want to sit and write 3 hours exam,
Right.
right? So the first cut happens over there when you stop writing. At least when we were studying, We were writing something related to our syllabus, but still we wrote. So there is one thing also. I remember one of my aunt who said, like when I'm feeling really irritated, I go to my message inbox, like mobile SMS inbox. WhatsApp is something I know what messages are coming, what messages are going. But in my SMS, I go and delete all the ad or anything that is not related, 10 to 15 messages. I don't do anything, and I feel good about it. So there is something that we have to clear to
Right.
get the new one inside. So, for example, a person working in the corporate, like for 6 months to a year, it is about understand the corporate, the dynamics, the why I am here. Something that will take time to understand. But today, the many of them who go with an understanding why they are in that organization. But most of the time, what happens, Pata, like they go, they do the job, they give the deliverables, they achieve the target, they get acknowledged, they feel happy about it, come back again, start from the scratch, overachieve the target, or lose the bus, miss the bus, go to another organization because of the manager or because of whatever reasons. But what I would say before moving from one organization to another, for example, if we can pause, take a paper and write what I don't like, what I don't want. If we can write first, rather than addressing what I like doing, I'm telling you, no, we want to impress our own self. We want to impress our own brain cells by creating by transforming one sheet into a novel.
Right.
We get so passionate about writing what I like doing, what I love doing, what I love watching, and what I love binge watching. But what is happening is the main part in the mind is what needs to be deleted. I mean, the memory is something you cannot delete it, but we need to deal with it.
Right.
So, what I dislike, what I am not comfortable. I always, during my coaching or one to one, during my sessions, I tell them what you dislike, what you don't want to do. Write down that. They say burning the bowl. You need to burn the bowl. First, clear the content over here. Even, despite writing what we don't like, what we are upset about, all the negative thoughts or something about our own self, which only we can see and talk, I said, embrace it. If something looks negative in front of you, something looks, no, the society will not accept about you about this, you need to walk back a timeline and see where did it root from or where did it stem from. If there's something about you which you don't like or I don't like something about me, it's important for me to address, because we are nothing but, like my coach, I wish to quote his name, Mr. Bhartesh, who always says we are nothing but we are a culmination. Not only, I'm sorry, Mr. Anand Nair also says this. Bhartesh says, allow the teacher to hold your student, right? And Mr. Anand Nair, another friend and a coach, he says, we are nothing but we are a culmination of people we have grown up with, we have worked with. So, like in the psychology, Fatah, we say, like, one person is nothing but a combination of five people he grows with, 5 or 10 people or whatever, right? So as a child, we are not swayambhu or something, like, we are just like this. We are whatever. I am Meera because I am a culmination of my parents, my experiences, my friends, my relatives, my, the people now I am working with. So there is something I dislike about me, that is just not about me. There is something I need to go back. So writing down what I dislike about me, what is that I dislike about others, what are the things that upsets me, what are the things I don't want to. Write it down, just have a look at it. It gives at least that 5 to 10 minutes, or it depends on person to person, aha moment. Because once we address and when we look at face to face about our own self in the mirror or in the paper, there is something that we have cleared in our mind, paving way for the new things to come in. Then you can go back and see why you dislike your manager. Here, I don't mean to say managers are always good. I don't mean to say all the team leads are always good. But if there is something that caused a disconnect, there is something that didn't work out, there is a story over there which only you know. Because for a manager, he has to connect with 10 people for the appraisal. And for HR policy related thing, he can be like, okay, how are you doing? Can we go for a lunch? Can we go for a meet? This is something he might do. But individual, only you know what you dislike. So I always say this: whatever you don't like, address that. Then you start writing about what you like. And for that, this has actually helped people. When I started, for example, like a test, I get the similar test to another group, ask them to write what and all you like. They
Mhm.
would have written like 100, because I don't want to lose this. I want this. I want that. I want to do this. I want to do this. Sab kuch, it's there on the paper. But the same excess when I give it to other people, the 100 will be 100 here also. But after that 100, that what I dislike, they have written, right? That group, if I ask them to write about what you want to do or what is that something that you can do, I'm telling you, they will really narrow it down between 5 to 10.
Yeah.
So write, roar your words, at least 50 words a day, even if not this, on the notepad. Or create, like, for example, many people do this, right? Create a WhatsApp group with them, two, three people, quit them, chuck them out, and only you stay in that group. Right over there. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that's very powerful. Whatever you spoke about, right? Writing down what you don't like or what you don't want to do. I think for many corporate professionals, this is going to be very helpful
I
because
wish.
I also strongly believe that clarity is not just about what you want to do; it is also about knowing what you don't want to do in your life. Right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think a lot of us, like even me, I was like for 17 years, I was in corporate trying to achieve something where after reaching that point I realized, hey, did I really want this? Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where
I
the
took
change
a
is.
plunge. I definitely need to say this over here. I took a plunge because I have a support system. I have
Hmm.
Bharat, my husband, who has been taking care of all the financial things. Might be, for example, if I still continued working, I would have done by now 20 plus years of working, close to 20 or 22 years of work. Might be now I would have paused, like sudden break,
Hmm.
a sudden break I would have taken. And that will be like anxiety attack, or that could be like, despite earning, I definitely made a good amount of money. I earned really well. And today, you know what, for that, sometimes when you get that in Google Pay, some that 10 rupees, 20 rupees, I like jump out of joy.
Right.
So my thing is, if you are aspiring, you want to create that story that you always have been aspired to. If you do not have a support mechanism, no point in blaming others. You want to do something, you create that repository. You create that, you call that grasshopper and ant story, the winter stock they create, right? Be that ant, create that for the winter, for 6 months or 10 months, and then you pursue what you're passionate about. It kicks off, take it ahead. If not, take that experience, come back, and see what can be done. At least there'll be this story in us that I never tried. But
Hmm.
but I think we really have to make it clear, because we both of us coming from a corporate experience for close to 16 to 17 years. And if we
Right.
have taken a plunge today, there is definitely a lot of cuts that we have taken.
That's right. Absolutely right. Life does not give you everything, right? But you need to like earn and deserve, and you sacrifice few things in the path as well.
Yeah.
And so that's very important.
Consciously,
Now, cautiously,
consciously, consciously and cautiously.
consciously and cautiously.
Yeah.
You
Even
have to
today
do that.
morning, I was just having a discussion with my husband. I was like, okay, last month it was great. This month, what do I do? I have to go about doing things. He was like, you have picked it up. It's like, like it's our child, right? It's our responsibility. There are sometimes the low tide, high tide time, but it's about whatever journey that you have picked it up, embark on it. So I think
Right.
we really need people to give that push also sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming back to stories, like there are so many things that go on in our life, right? As you rightly mentioned, there might be times when you have certain discussions. You're talking about managers and team leads and all. We have certain incidents that happen. Maybe like appraisals are one of the stories. I think people can write tons of pages for that, right? So many things happen with people. But what do you recommend for them to actually grow and then to actually be able to progress in their life? What kind of stories should they write? Is it everything that they have gone through? Is it the the negative parts or the challenges that they have went through, or what is it? What kind of stories?
Yeah. So more than a recommending, basis my experience, what I did with myself, and kind of I worked with around 200 to 300 people one to one, also through the coaching and through interactions and experiences. What is something I always share is that when you really want to write something, people would call writer's block or a lot of things. A block happens only because of the reason that there is a content overload over here.
Hmm.
In a tap, it has only so much of a pressure to withhold, right? And it has to flow with that, what do you call that, that intensity only the water can come through the pipe. But if we expect the speed of the water that is in a dam when you open through a pipe, there will be a block.
Right.
So if people, if many of you, if, when I'm sharing about writing down about your experiences, please welcome open heartedly and with open mind. Block is the first welcoming element. If we haven't really written about, there are many people who write still, but still there are some issues. That could be there is one particular part side of them they have always, in a controlled way, in a forced way, in a conscious way, they have always blocked from addressing it. That also causes a block. Not necessarily only people who do not write will have a block. People who write, people who share will have a block too. Because people who don't write, they have all the things at the same place. Just open the tap, it will flow down. But for some of them who have been always writing, some of them who have been always sharing, some of them who have been wearing the happy mask, sometimes you may never know there is one side that they have always covered it up. The block over there is terrible, psychologically, or what you call it as an emotional or the mental side. So, when I would say, just keep that book for yourself. It is when you keep that book for yourself, there is one thumb rule is that it is only for you to read, it's only for you to write. But
Mhm.
you may never know what might happen next. Accidentally, it goes into somebody's hand, and you've written something really very, very, what do I call it as? Very emotional side of that, which you never wanted to show it to people, very emotional side of that, which you never wanted to share it with your own parents or with your own spouse, and that goes into somebody's hand. You have to deal it in such a way that this is the truth which is blocking me. And if I have written it in this book, or if you have written it in my document, that is something I'm working to have things going in a right way. So keep writing. Whatever comes, just there's an exercise what I can say. Keep it for 30 days. Fix your time. That
Mhm.
time when you don't have a knock at the door, that time, even if there is a knock at the door, you have somebody whom you're assigned to address to. I'm an early riser. It has helped me. I wake up around 4:30, and
Mhm.
between 5:30 to 6, it's just my time, because
Wow.
that's the time I write. Because I know consciously there's no one who's going to come and knock. I know that, I definitely need the 30 minutes for myself. Nothing around me changes. Nobody around me changes. Nobody is going to be, like evolve into somebody since because I have spent some time for myself. Nothing. It only helps me to deal with my own self. It only helps me to deal with people around me. So, for example, for me, I do coaching between 5 to 6. I do writing sometimes. When there are no coaching, I do it between 5:30 to 6. The 6 o'clock, the kitchen opens, and breakfast, lunch, pack the food for the daughter, and then for yourself, then come back to the desk at 11. This is the way I keep my schedule. 11 to 1, I work. Then after that lunch, then I pick my daughter, and then only with her. So every day, if we can allocate 1 hour, 2 hours, I'm sure that is enough. Only that, we call it as a focused hour, right? And if we miss out doing in that particular time, I would say it is normal to feel jittery about it, but that should not define your being.
Right.
So you really want to write. You really want to write. So especially when you mentioned about corporate and during the pandemic time and all, people lost space, people lost time, people lost money, people lost job, position, name, fame, everything they might have lost. What is lost, we cannot definitely go back and, what to say, re-bring. I mean, you can't bring it back. A lost time is a lost time, but it's an experience. It might be, Meera, you're just telling it is easy for you. No, it is not easy for me. I've dealt with it because during pandemic, we had the worst of the time, and during the second wave, I had two people whom we lost in our family back to back, and someone who said, at home, bye, I'll come back. I never saw him for the lifetime now. Someone who said, Mira, might be, I want to do these things and all. Might be. Then I said, no, you go back and come. We'll catch up again. But never happened. So, and nine of us in the family, each of us in, many, four to five of them in different hospitals. My husband juggling, but on one hospital and the other. My little one, I got COVID and we were at home, then taking care of the elders. And we had dogs and cats and so many things. But one thing, Fatah, you know what I did before sleeping? It was really painful those days. It was like literally, it was like the roof was on us. But one thing, what actually kept nothing around changed. Things became worse to the worst, to the pathetic also, emotionally, mentally, because India, what happened in India during the second wave time. How many people, what, so many houses, every house has a story during the second wave. So
Yes.
the only thing, I opened my notepad, I only went about writing, and that's that time the writing community, Let's Make Stories Dino, and the storytelling tribes, Mayaakatha, where story stands, and my team, Mayaakatha, they were the sounding board. I was literally writing to them. They listened to me. So I think we need to have someone as a sounding board. One, if sounding board you feel uncomfortable to share, I respect that space of yours and thought of yours. Write down every day 50 to 100 words, anything under the earth. For 30 days, between, if, for example, if it's early morning 5 to 5:30, ensure that that is something you have committed to yourself, not to your manager or anyone. And you can say it's okay. No, 5 to 5:30, write anything, anything. First 2 days you will not write, but that 5 to 5:30, show up over there. Even if it's a blank page and you drew a cat and a dog, absolutely fine. But write. I'm telling you, from the third and fourth or fifth day, we will really write at least a heading. After 1 week, you're like, no more, I'm going to take my step back. Let me write at least about a cat. Tomorrow I will write about a dog. Day after I will write about myself. Then I will, okay, I'll go and update my profile. So what something is happening. So at the end of the 30th day, we feel good, we've written. After 30 days, put a slot. What is that you dislike doing? Write about it. What is that you don't want to do? Write about that. As a child, you felt unhappy with about few people. As a child, you have some experience that you're still not able to share. Write it down. Write it down and tear it into papers. You don't want somebody to see that, absolutely fine, because everybody have let us not call it as a darker shade. Everybody have a little treasure that we don't want to bring it out for various reasons. We fear people, what they might say, what might think. Start writing about that from the day 31 to 40. From the 45th day to 60th day, write about what and all you want to do. And when people, at the, after that 45 days, people will have a clarity. I want to do 100 things, they might have thought. But, at the end of the 60th day, okay, five things are the top five things. In this five things, this is doable, this is not doable, this is something I can park it for the future. This is something I can take a risk because I have a financial thing every month I'm getting salary. This is something I can still do about it. Get a clarity. Yeah. At least at 2 months, people have to give the time, whatever is the time, evening or night or whatever. But no intrusion.
Absolutely. And I can completely agree with you because recently our community we did early morning writing for 30 days and
Oh,
people were
okay.
able to pen down their thoughts and people were really happy with what they were able to write. Right. So that was really amazing. So I can completely agree and resonate with you. One of the challenge, Mira, while it comes to writing, right, especially for people who want to write their book, author the book and all, is a lot of people feel, hey, what is there in my story? It's not powerful at all, right? It's just like any other story. So what do you have to share about this? Like many people go through this.
Everybody feels that. When I published my first book, I'm like, oh my God, can I really go about telling I'm an author? I still don't say that, but mm, what to say, as a love to carry that label. Hi, Prince. Thanks a ton. She has been always very supportive. Pata, she messages me, she shares, whatever I write. Also, she comes back with her thoughts. So, thank you for joining in. Thanks a ton. So, coming back, so I never wanted to put that author, but after my first book happened, and Mayaakatha tribe and so many things, people started reaching out to me, ma'am, can you come and and then they say author Meera. I'm like, okay, fine. So like when people give you that recognition, but you don't want to take it. I have definitely gone through that. I still go through that. Like, am I really worth to carry that? Then I paused. It is better, feel happy that people call you for what they feel that excellence in you, because there are some more people who are still struggling to get that. They've been
Absolutely.
aspiring to get that, and when somebody is giving you that, take that, because wishes and blessings, whoever gives, it is going to be only wishes and blessings. So
Right.
uh, the question will come, because right from our childhood, only LKG and UKG teacher will always say clap, shabash, bacha. They'll give you toffee even if you do mistake, like no, 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 and all. But from first standard onwards, like we are really being prepared, like like for an like an Olympiad. I'm using these names not to say it is wrong, but methodology of growing has been towards the marks. Marks is important. I don't deny the fact how much over we can talk about alternative education and things like that. But at places, you need to have that basic education. You need to have that little bit of a marks also. For if you're aspiring to get into engineering, yeah, you need that particular marks. If you're aspiring to become a doctor, you need to have that marks. If you're
Right.
aspiring to become, a creative person, doesn't mean marks are not important. You need to know, if you don't care about marks, what you need to do in your life. So whenever you pick up something, the self-doubt, self-worthiness question, because we always ask people, am I doing right, am I fine, which when I do that, I've started asking my daughter, and she's like, what is this new thing you've been asking? Then, okay, fine, okay, let me come back. Let me come back. So these are preconditioned mindset to get quantification about the work that we do, to get validation that we are on the right track. Validation and quantification is fine, but not always. Somewhere you feel it's going to be a failure because you didn't ask somebody and do. No, it's not a failure because you didn't ask somebody and do. That's because the question we had to our own self about our worthiness and what we cannot. So, um, if you're called a writer, I would say, Fatah, you are a writer, you are a storyteller. You write and you say story in your own unique way, in your own, you create that excellence. When I'm a writer, I write my way of writing. There are a couple of writers, who follow that kind of a systematic way of, what do you call it as, phrasing things, or framing of things. So that is all syllabus to be a writer. But if you're writing in your own way, it doesn't stop you from being called as a writer too. You write in your own way, be a writer to yourself.
Right, absolutely. I think I love that. Be a writer to yourself, right? I think everything we do, first we have to do it for ourselves. Then you think of, okay, do it for the world, do
Because
it for
we
others.
don't do that, right?
Right. Yeah. And one of the challenge people face is also like the fear, right? A lot of people stop from even starting something like
Yeah.
either working on their careers, building their dream career, or writing a book or anything. But you have been an NLP practitioner as well. So how do they come out of this fear? Like, did you also go through these fears? What were the things that helped you to come
Yeah.
out of the fear, or your students?
Always went to fear. Even now, I had a fear a little bit sometime back also. But I went about looking about why and what is that I'm fearing about. Then I could quantify that between two columns. This fear is nothing. This fear is just because of this particular reason. I was able to address that and move forward. And I'm doing that only because of the experience. Because during my career, or in the corporate as a recruiter, HR, or in the talent acquisition team, I always worked with a fear. Being very upfront over here today, because a candidate doesn't join, it is like, oh my god, the manager comes running, the HR comes running, the corporate will be like, oh no, I have a project assigned to him and he has not, what did the recruiter do? So the first call itself goes with the fear, hey, will you really join? you know so from that, I would say I really evolved into, say, I'm making a call out to you, I have an opportunity. If you're really interested, I would appreciate if you can get back to me on so and so time. I don't want to rush you in this particular hour because you're in your office. My job is only to talk, which I can do it, probably a bit later. Let's work on a time and let me understand what you want to do. It actually helped me overachieve my target too. Because
Amazing.
one day I realized, because the candidate didn't join, the till before day also he used to say, "Hi Meera, I'm joining tomorrow, it's going good." And next day
Interesting.
I was like, did you? I mean, I used to think in Tamil, Niya pesale in the Mari. I was like,
Yeah. I think that happens many a times because
I
of so
was-
many opportunities today available, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, this is
when it
12 years
comes,
back.
yeah,
I'm
I think
30.
it's there even today. And I only
Yeah,
thing is the number of opportunities I think have increased for people, right?
yeah,
So now when we're talking about opportunities, you coming from the corporate background in terms of recruitment, you coming from the
yeah,
writing background as well. How can writing help in terms of the corporate professionals in terms of their career
yeah,
growth, right? Be it
yeah.
finding a new job or be it growing in their organizations. Can that help them by any ways?
Definitely, definitely. They don't have to become a writer. They don't have to really go for it. I mean, I'm just telling you, don't have to rush for any of those crash courses. It does. Those courses will help you to build your writing ability and the communicating ability. Just be the way you are, as in, it doesn't mean you have a client, English speaking client, and you still want to just talk in our own regional language. It doesn't help. But for that connect to happen, even a simple in English, because most of us in India, we can speak English. That's what I believe. You can speak simple English because we
Right.
know we know about the tense, because the formative years have been more coaching on the tense part, past tense or present or the future. And then about simple English, if they ask you what is your name, you really don't have to run about, hey, I was born here and my parents thought about that particular name and today I've been named this. No, they're not looking at that. My name is this. If the communication or the writing over here, it is not to impress if you are not in the writing space, if you're
Right.
not actually in the content writing space. Content writing, yes, you definitely have to have that bit of a basic writing skills. Make it simple, straightforward, storyfy it. But in the business communication, not everybody are looking for you to write 500 words. Very simple. You want to leave, you just, in the subject, I'm sure most of them would be doing, this is just an example. This is a leave application. Put the date. And in the content, reason. That's enough. Because you as an employee, they are not, HR is not going to be, HR or anyone for that matter is not going to see your writing ability. Dear so and so, as my this one is suffering from so and so, then no, nobody is expecting that, right? Business communication, it has to be just simple. Whether you can deliver, you cannot deliver, why you cannot deliver, what are the reasons that you think you cannot deliver, or why do you think you want to pitch this particular sales team, what you think can bring the sales, you know. So if you're making a PPT, even if the PPT has 40 slides, let every slide have only one line. That
Right.
is enough. Because I have also feared when it went about presentations and all. Like, it's not like Canva, right? Today that we have. Earlier it used to be just PPT, and first of all getting a computer, and then you get the computer, then you don't have internet, you have that this, and we have to, like, I used to take my diary and I used to write, okay, 40 slides, or for example 10 slides, heading, about, why, what are the benefits of pitching this particular client. Because as a recruiter, I used to make a BD also to get in new clients. So for the sales pitch to happen, we don't go and tell them, see, sales is not easy, but it can be made easy if you know what you want, if you know what your customer or the client wants, if you have a purpose, they have a need. Will your purpose serve the need? That's all. I mean, this I
Absolutely.
would say as a cheat sheet. Whatever you want to write, or whenever you want to make that communication pitch to your own customers, to your own manager, take a book or on your notepad, whichever is comfortable, digital way of writing or the pen way of writing. Pen way, because it's a muscular memory, it helps you also. Just write heading, why that heading, what are the benefits of that heading, who are the competitors, what is that makes you different from that, that will actually make you to create a lot of story. Don't get into that. When you know what your competitor is offering, when you know what is a problem area, the problem area flips into a solution. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
thumb rule, everything is a sales pitch. Most of the thing, whatever we do, is a sales pitch about why, what is the problem that company is looking, what is the need of your customer. Do, as we pick the phone as a recruiter or as a sales, I know many of them would be aware about this. Don't sell your products and services. Tell them you're calling from here. I know your offering is in this. But if you want me to work with you, if you think I can be your customer or a client, what is that problem you're looking for? That will actually make that guy to build a relationship, from a relationship to a rapport, from a rapport to the customer, successful customer, from a customer success, it's a success story. Like then
Right.
thereafter it is not hunting all the time. You have to farm that account. So writing is just not only to say story, that story about once upon a time. I want to make it clear, writing is about creating that customer success also.
Yeah.
Writing note is about knowing the need, the problem area you want to solve, the solution that you can offer, and yeah, customer success. Farm the
And
account from there on, because sometimes you can't be always hunting, right?
yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I think it's not only for corporate, even for coaches and others who are building their businesses, right?
Yeah.
As you rightly mentioned, writing from the way of like looking at the problem, the challenges, converting them into solution, and finally writing those success stories, right? I think
And
it's
when
an
you get
entire
stuck,
journey.
like my coach says, a teacher is ready only when the student is ready. My coach
Right.
Bhardesh always says that. So please allow your coach to hold your hand. Don't be rigid. Don't be rigid, because we don't know everything, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
We have to
Now, if
accept we're dumb at few things. It's true.
right. Yeah, yeah. And when you brought up this coach wala thing, now if people have started writing or want to start writing, you mentioned about your community, right?
Yeah,
How can
yeah.
they join this community, and how can people reach out to you if they are looking for services, right? So, what is the place and how can they reach out?
Definitely. So Mayaakatha.com is the website, Mayaakatha.com. We launched it yesterday. We have a Facebook community, Mayakatha, where story stands, and let's make stories stand. Probably after this discussion, I'll share the links with you, or whenever you're
Yeah.
posting it, also I can populate the links over there.
Yes.
People can be part of the community, Facebook community, and they will get to know what are the things happening, and they want to be part of the writing tribe. Write to us. We are building, the bit of a work happening over there, and I'm just, putting things, a framework and the structure in place to make that announcement.
Great.
So people can be part of the storytelling and writing team, and there are a lot of storytellers in our community and writers in the community who keep sharing beautiful content what they write, who keep sharing about what and all. Because Fatah, the thing is, Mayakatha, a platform. It's not only about to connect, collaborate, learn, and grow. Because grow is the main thing that I'm actually looking at. Because people connect, people also collaborate, but learning and growth is something which goes in the back burner. So people who come in over here might come in as a writer. People who come in as a storyteller might come in as a subscriber, as a member. But as they avail the services or as they get to know how things are happening, you may never know they can become a trainer too. So that's what I mean to say. Connect to grow is the
Grow.
story that we are looking at. And it's a marketplace where I invite people to come and blow trumpet about what you do and about your venture. Yeah.
Great. I think that's an amazing opportunity for all those people who want to become coaches or also want to become a part of the community, and then like not only as you said connect, but also the journey towards the growth as well.
I do
So
have a course on Growthpreneur, where
okay.
people can grab a buy and they can. There are quite a few things that I have shared basis my experience, and it has helped a lot. I can share
Great.
that if it's a help also.
And that's nice to know. So thank you for all those people who have been watching us and going to watch later on recording. I would highly recommend Meera, right? Wherever you are stuck in terms of your writing or you want to start the new writing journey, you can be a part of that community where you are not only connecting with Meera but also growing along with Meera, right? I would highly recommend that. And thank you,
Thank you
Meera,
so
for being on
Thank
this
you so much.
platform and sharing your knowledge with us.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you so much, Pata. My best wishes to you and Happy New Year to all of you. And do I say a message or something? I would say you want to share something, you have that hidden story in you. Share it with yourself at least.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing message. Thank you for that great concluding message. Very important. Like pick it from here, and people who are going to watch us on later on recording as well. Some beautiful nuggets, golden nuggets shared here. Pick up from there, and not only listen to this episode, but also implement whatever you have listened from here, so that your 2023 can become beautiful and a successful year as well. So thank
Thank
you
you,
once
Pata.
again. Yeah, thanks, Meera.
Thank you.